Okay, so now we're going to take a look at the dimensions of the patio. Here on the west side, we have a length of 9 foot 5 inches. Then going along the garage, we have a length of 22 feet. Along the east end of the patio, we have a length of 15 foot 9 inches. This short section going across here on the west side is 10 foot 6 inches. And then the other section here along the west side is 11 foot 6 inches. So there's a couple different ways to take the total square footage measurement of this. What I did is broken into two sections here. So pretend there's a divider here. So now, looking at this, we take the 15 foot 9 inches times the 10 foot 6 inches, and you come up with about 165 square feet. And then we can look at the second section down here. You take the 9 foot 5 inches times the 11 foot 6 inches, and you come up with 109 square feet. So if we take the 109 square feet and add it to the 165 square feet, the total square footage of this patio is approximately 274 square feet. Okay, so now that we know what the square footage of the patio is, approximately 274 square feet, we're going to take a look at what a rough estimate of equipment cost would be for a homeowner to perform a similarly sized job, or for a contractor to do a job about this size. This will vary depending on each company, what their equipment is, how big the company is, and then the cost will also vary depending on regions within the U.S. There's a bunch of tools that we need. So we'll start off with an assortment of shovels. You'll have to dig around possible utilities, along buildings and whatnot. Shovel gravel, move materials, so we need some shovels. So that'll probably cost around $40. A landscape rake is not mandatory, but it really helps things out a lot. It just does an awesome job. I'd highly recommend it if you don't have one already. So rental is about $10 per day. Probably need about 2 days if you're renting, or to buy it's about $70. Then we need a torpedo level to level out small areas if needed. So that's about $12. A 6 foot level for making sure that you have everything is going in the correct slope as you're putting your patio down, and leveling out your street rails and everything. So that's approximately $50. So a transit, laser level, or water level, probably be using for 2 to 3 days. Rental is about $50 a day. So $100 to $150 in rental for that. If you're to buy something, probably the lower end price spectrum is around $500 for the unit, and they can go up to $1,500. Or for really high end, you're talking. You can go way beyond that. But for general hardscaping purposes, you're probably looking at $500 to $1,500 for this type of equipment. The non-marring rubber mallet is about $14. The tape measure is about $6. I have it actually right here. So pencil is about $6. I like using the ones I can get at Menards that you can put the tips in through the top and it pushes down a fresh tip, so I'm not spending time sharpening them. Tape measure is about $12. A line string is about $5 for a spool. String level is about $3. You need some stakes to stake out your string line, so that's about $8. A hammer, $10. Hand compactor, you just use that for tight corners and really small spaces that you can't reach with a larger compactor. That's about $15. You need to have some tools to install the compactor pad on a plate compactor. So that's pretty minimal. $10 there. A compactor pad, it's basically a rubber pad that goes underneath a plate compactor to keep it from stuffing the surface of the pavers as it sets the pavers in. There's several different options for compactors. Your most basic option is a plate compactor. It's probably the most popular. Cheaper end, about $600. With those, you need to compact your base in 2-inch lifts. You can go up. There's more expensive plate compactors that are heavier. They can do 4 to 6-inch lifts. A roller compactor. I haven't used one myself, but they're really nice. They're expensive. Then a jack compactor is good for small areas. Does a lot of compaction. Probably wouldn't recommend using it for an entire patio area unless you absolutely had to. So rental, approximately $140 to $360 or purchase. Lower end $600. Mid to higher end is about $4,000. Again, depends on what the company is doing with the piece of equipment. Some black 1-inch pipe for the street rails is about $35. Need some, I use some scrap pieces of wood to stand on as I'm setting the pavers if I need to walk across them to help distribute my weight so that I'm not pushing in one paver into the base before I'm ready to have them set in. Screed board can go from a 2x4, which is a few bucks, to a nice aluminum unit, which could be $120, $200. Wheelbarrow. This isn't. It depends on what you're doing in the space. I don't usually personally use a wheelbarrow on a job, but if there was a tighter space that I couldn't reach with larger equipment, I would definitely be using that. So, regular wheelbarrows are around $60. You can go all the way up to a gas or battery powered. Could be $1,000 or so. Some ground paint to mark out your area for the patio, $6. A wet saw, you're looking at probably $200 for a basic unit to $3,000 plus for a really nice higher end unit. Again, it depends on what the company is doing. Blades for the wet saw, and that can be basic 10 inches, it would be $60 to, if you're doing like a 14 or 16 inch saw, it could be $200-300 easy for the saw blade. Just some general things that most people have around the house, their garden hose and the spray nozzle to wash off the pavers. And then the big equipment. So you can do a patio by hand with a wheelbarrow shovel. It takes a lot of time, a lot of work. Most contractors will use bigger equipment to get the job done more efficiently, less labor. So a rental, 3 to 4 days, you're probably looking at $480 to $1,200 depending on which piece of equipment you're using and how long you're using it for. To purchase something in that range, you're looking at $20,000 to $80,000. Then you also need an equipment trailer to move the skid steer or tractor, mini skid steer, whatever you're renting or owning. And some trailers come with the equipment rental. Some of them are separate. So if you don't have it, so you have to rent it. So that could be up to $480 for a rental. And to purchase a decent equipment trailer could be $2,000 to $8,000 plus. And if you're doing a 30-foot gooseneck, you could easily be closer to the $12,000 to $16,000 range there. Dump trailer, I would highly recommend this. It just saves so much time. Usually the rentals are a little bit smaller units, but they do a decent job. And so that's about $110 per day, so $220 to $330 for a rental on that. To purchase the dump trailer, go basic size. They're about $5,000 or $6,000 to a nice bigger unit. at about $15,000 range. And with all this equipment, the dump trailer and everything, you'd really like to have, you know, a 3/4, 1-ton truck, at least, to move this equipment and trailers around. You're looking at, you know, from a contractor standpoint, you know, most won't be spending in the lower range, which I put down as $15,000. The newer stuff could be, you know, upwards of $80,000 plus. So looking at this, you know, if you're renting the equipment, you know, you could have, you know, $1,000 to $2,500 in rental costs to do a job of this size. And then, you know, from a contractor standpoint, you know, you could have $44,000 to, you know, $197,000 in equipment to do this job. If you're looking at this from a homeowner standpoint, you know, you're renting some equipment, so, you know, you got your rental costs there, and then you know, purchase or have some equipment that you can't rent. We're looking here, you know, an additional pressure washer there. So pressure washer, so you're looking at about $800 more or less. So equipment, you know, you're looking at, you know, $1,600 to $3,600 in equipment to do this job. Then we go down here. If you're doing polymer sand installation, you want to have a broom to sweep the polymer sand into the joints. Blower, you can do a handheld blower. Most contractors will do like a backpack blower. You want to use that to blow the polymer sand off the pavers, so when you set them with either your water or your sealer, the polymer sand isn't sticking to the surface of the pavers. So there, you know, you're looking at, you know, $132 to $1,200 in equipment there. If you're doing a sealer installation, you'll need a sprayer. You can use a plastic sprayer for a water-based sealer. They're pretty cheap. You know, you go from Menards or Home Depot, Harbor Freight. You know, they're probably $12 to $20 somewhere in there. But if you're doing oil-based sealer, you need to have a metal container sprayer. Otherwise, the oil-based will eat the plastic. So you're looking at about $160 for that type of a unit. An overspray shield, you know, $20, and then a squeegee. Again, for the water based, you just do a basic squeegee you can get from Home Depot or Menards or any type of store like that. If you're doing the oil based, you need to have a special squeegee that is resistant to the oils. Otherwise, the oil base will eat it up really quick before you're done with the job. And that's just going to cause you problems. So you're looking at now another $40 to $260 in equipment for that. So, you know, grand total for equipment, you're looking at, you know, $44,000 to almost $200,000 equipment, depending on the company. So that's quite a bit of money, and so maybe this helps understand where some of the costs come in when you're getting a quote for a patio. And you look at it and say, this seems like a lot of money. You know, it is, but it takes a lot of money to have the equipment to properly do the job as well.